a great production there, Zeke. That was very nice. That was like the Who's the Boss opening, or one of those 80s shows. That was
video montage. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. How you doing, guys? Zeke, Heiza, welcome to Milford Radio, everybody. How you guys doing?
What's up, guys? What's up, Milford?
Hey, what's going on?
So we're happy that everyone is joining us, and people are jumping on now, which is good to see. Last show we were off last week. Last show we were joined by Mayor Ben Blake, and guys, always a good interview with Ben. He shared a lot of information about the city. I couldn't repeat one of those things, so I was probably barely paying attention, but it was a good show. Zeke, always good to have Ben on. Did you pick up on anything from last week? I know we were talking about buildings. Oh, the mall was a big one.
Yeah, I actually I wasn't on that show. I don't remember.
Oh, it was Heiza.
I was on. Yeah, we were talking about the mall, and it changed any kind of proposed planning and zoning to that area would just open up Route 1 for apartment complex after apartment complex. So
right.
That was
they're looking to put apartments
from that.
Right. Yeah. That was a big one. I mean, living, in that vicinity, that would not be a good thing. Having, all these businesses, apartment buildings coming in and having,
tax revenue going down and everything else. Yeah, that'd be devastating.
I think I mentioned it to you guys. I always thought it would be a good idea to bring a community college into the mall.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I'm posting right now. Join the show live. You'll see it in Facebook and on YouTube. You could join the show live. We'll see you come in to the waiting room where we could see our guest right now. Dr. Cutaia is in the green room doing a little hair and makeup, getting ready for the show. And you will be joined right there, and you could join us before or after Dr. Cutaia comes on. We're not going to bombard her with a bunch of people jumping on. But anyway, guys, 7 days until fall, 46 days until Halloween, and 73 days until Thanksgiving. How about those numbers? Those are some stats.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, crazy, definitely. Right? You did your math, Mark. I'm so proud of your accounting.
Thank you. I think I stole that from Dr. Gil Simmons.
Yeah, taking a step outside this morning when it was about 48 degrees, definitely let me know that fall's around the corner.
Absolutely.
It was nice to have the air conditioner off. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was. Rose's Mill Plaza. We were talking about this before the show. That's a place where I grew up in the Woodmont side of town, went to Live Oaks, then to Foreign as a kid. So we were in that area quite a bit, and we were talking about what was there back in the day. And I remember Rob's Deli, but I want to say there was a different deli and or restaurant in that place before Rob's, but Rob's was there a long time. And then Heiza, you mentioned the other place.
Yeah, I think it was Video Plaza, or Video Hut, or Video, some VHS. Was Video Plaza down in Orange by Costco? There's so many video places, remember?
Then there was one on the Post Road. There was another
where Subway is across from the police station.
I think that was Video Hut. That was Video Hut. Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, back in the good old days of trying to catch the new releases on VHS and hoping your copy wasn't taken before you got there.
And having a $10 late fee on all of your returns.
What about the $3 fee if you didn't rewind?
Oh,
please
man.
Rewind. Please be kind. Rewind.
That was a real thing. For those young people, we just saw someone on here that said that they graduated in 2011. Will not know that slogan. Here he is, Paul. No. I graduated 4-9 in 2011.
Wow.
Yeah, so, kids don't know that pain.
That's funny stuff. So yeah, there was a big fire. It started last night. I don't know. I know the building is devastated. I don't know. I did not go by it today. I don't know if it's to the ground or what. But I do know that building was for sale. The entire building was for $1.6 million. Yeah, I think it was much higher, and then it just continually. It's been for sale. It's got to be a decade now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Someone definitely will swoop in and buy that property now because they don't have to worry about demoing that building. Like once that's removed and cleaned up, that probably saves someone some money.
So whoever buys it, we should be looking at them for lighting a building on fire. Right. So a lot of things have been going on. I mean, it's needless to say that there's been, a bunch of different stuff going on as far as COVID and things like that. And one of the big things, we had a bunch of baseball this weekend for one of my sons. And, when you have double headers on the weekends, the parents just BS and complain about everything. But this was one of the big things that people were complaining about, and it's the enhanced enforcement from the governor. Now, there's people that are complaining about this, but there's also people that are saying, finally there's something to make sure that people are actually wearing their masks and not throwing these humongous parties, which is putting other states into harm, like Florida and things like that. So there's new fines, and most people know about these already. $100 if you're not wearing a mask, $500 for organizing an event that exceeds the size limits, and that's 25 people inside and 100 people outside, and then $250 if you were attending that event that exceeded the limit.
Wow.
It's a lot of money. I mean, if you have 100 people, you're getting $500 from one person, and you're getting $250 from the other 150 people. So that's pretty crazy. And then over here on the right, this is from NBC Connecticut. The sign language lady was caught in a predicament in this picture. But well, I do find myself watching the sign language people when they're doing it for the governor. It's a great service. Amazing service to have, and every time they do it, they are on cue what people are saying, and there's no script. They don't know what is going to be said, and they're on top of it. It really is amazing, but it's entertaining to watch as well. Zeke,
good. Just all sign language all day for you, Mark.
That's all I do. Yeah, and I'm on a podcast where I don't do any sign language, or whatever this show is. Zeke,
I got a question about those signs. Wait, I got a question about those signs.
Yeah.
The people attending, are they really responsible to go around counting everyone else that's there to know that they're at a party that's over the limit?
And that's a good point. In the governor's line, it rhymed. I don't know exactly what the line was, but it was like, please be kind, rewind. But it was something like if it looks like too many people, get out or something. So basically, if you see too many people and you're not comfortable, just get out of that situation because it's not a good situation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Enough?
I want everyone to sign numbers and know what number I am.
That's funny. Zeke, there's other fines going on. What are those?
Yeah,
go to any parties.
It looks like Andrew Cuomo in New York has put a fine on anyone that's going to be traveling on the interstate train rides here from Connecticut into New York and New York into Connecticut and all public transportation. It looks like you're going to have to wear your mask or you're going to be facing a $50 fine, and it applies to anyone without a mask on New York City subways, buses, and on all Metro North trains, including the New Haven line.
The New Haven line, that's one of the busiest trains, probably not right now, but in the country. There's more people that commute in and out of New York City on that line than pretty much anywhere else in the country. And that includes Chicago, LA, Atlanta, all those large cities.
Yeah. He says the vast majority of people are complying, but there still will be those few that say, I don't need it. And I believe the train conductors actually have paper masks that they'll hand out. So,
well, that's good. That's cheaper than getting a fine. One big event that happened that the memorial just passed by was 9/11, and we had Heiza. We had a few people here in Milford that
perished that day, and I can't believe it's been 19 years already. I mean, it seems like yesterday, but it's one of those days that I don't think that we'll ever forget, and hopefully we never should. But three people that lived in Milford actually perished on that day: Michael Miller, Avnish Patel, and Seth Morris. Those are names recited by Mayor Blake. With Fire Chief Doug Ito ringing the bell for each. Just a little blurb on each of them. Miller, he was 39 when he passed. He was a graduate of Foreign High School in 1980, named Best Athlete for lettering in football, basketball, and track. He was a partner at Cantor Fitzgerald. Patel, who was 28, had moved to Milford when he was 13 from London to join relatives here. He went to Live Oaks Elementary in Foreign before going to New York. And Morris, who's 35, went to Mathewson Elementary. He was actually a little coincidental in the 1993 World Trade Center terrorist attack. He was called a hero. He carried a pregnant woman more than 90 floors to safety.
Wow.
And that was what, 8 years prior to passing away in 9/11. Also worked for Cantor Fitzgerald. So obviously there were a lot of stories that day and a lot of people affected. And whether you knew them directly or not, their memories, their lives should not be forgotten.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, Abnish actually he lived across the street from Mark.
Yeah, and so did Miller.
Yeah.
Miller was to the left of my parents, and Patel was to the right. 2 out of those 3 people lived on the same street, right near Live Oak School, and were both like pretty much next door neighbors of me growing up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's it's tough to get to the next item on our list after talking about 9/11 and losing anybody, let alone our neighbors and here in Milford. But we're going to get to our guest in just a second. I'm not going to put her right after the 9/11 conversation, and we do have Restaurant Week is coming up. This is it's newer. It's organized by the Milford Regional Chamber of Commerce. It will include 17 restaurants offering customers meals with deals the week of September 20th through 26th. It features restaurants including Kimberly Diner, SBC, Stonebridge, Tavern on Point, Gusto, Village Bistro, Fratelli's, Ola, Michael Anthony's, and Reggiano's, Bin 100, Liberty Rock, Eli's, Flipside, My Bar and Grill, and Milford Sports Pub and Hook and Reel. So those are the restaurants. Basically, the way it works. I want to say this is only a couple years here in Milford. New Haven's been doing it for a while, very successfully, and Milford's been doing it a couple years now. Basically, you get full lunches, dinners for a discounted price. It's basically get out there, support our local businesses. So it's a great event.
All of those restaurants are awesome.
They are. They're all good ones.
They're all really, really good.
Yeah. So we just a quick shout out, and then we're gonna get to our guest. There's a one of my favorite hot sauces. It's called How You Doing Hot Sauce. It's from right here in Milford. It's brand new. It's from Knits Farms. We're check it out. Ask me about it. If you see me, I'll get you some. It's good stuff. It's all fresh, homemade, great stuff. So anyway, we're gonna jump into our guest tonight. She's been working most likely 24/7. There's a lot going on in this world. There's a lot going on here in Milford because of the pandemic. And even minus a pandemic, this job of superintendent of schools cannot be an easy one. But we want to welcome back Dr. Anna Cutaia. Dr. Cutaia, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for coming.
joining us.
I love joining this show. I learned so much. How you doing hot sauce? How do you spell that?
like Joey from Friends. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. How you doing?
We all went to foreign, so it's how ya, Y-A,
Yeah, that's right.
I know I have to get to that spelling curriculum. Thanks for the reminder. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, take a look at Foreign's curriculum there. So how past few days, I think it's been 6 days, I want to say, but give us a little inside look at how things have been going. We've all been watching the news, and there's towns, that are ups and downs, and it seems like Milford's going okay. Give us a little background.
Yeah, no, we're doing better than okay. Thanks. We're on day 6 of school. And while, last week was stressful, I'm going to be honest with you guys. We had 4 days of school, 3 in person, 1 distance learning, as we built our schedule. And we did everything we knew to keep everyone safe and protected and make it as authentic of an experience as possible for kids and staff to come back. And I think we have a lot to celebrate. I don't know, just for context, do you guys remember it was the last week of June where the governor said, okay, we're coming back in 2 months. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if people really understand how big Milford is. We have 14 schools. We have over 1 million square feet of school facilities to prepare. We have 1,100 staff members, 5,400 kids, and And 63 buses, over 140 bus runs, and 1,000 bus stops to prepare for in 8 weeks.
Wow.
And that is
Wow.
what
With a
our
pandemic.
incredible team did.
Right. During a
So
pandemic.
big bravo
amazing.
to the Milford
Oh
Public
yeah,
Schools team,
definitely,
right?
definitely. Yeah.
We had great team of about 100 staff members over the summer creating plans. Grateful for about 30 parents who served as an advisory committee, and about a dozen community members, business leaders who helped out just to give us some advice from the sidelines. And so we went live on Tuesday, September 8th. We opened our school doors. I might have been the most excited person in Milford Public Schools that day. I was bounding out of my vehicle, headed over to Pumpkin Delight, where I helped out with car duty and helping kids get out with their masks on, social distancing. I tell you, it was just a great day. You guys realize it was like 6 months we have not been in our physical school buildings.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
6 months.
Yeah.
And kids are back, glad to be back in school. Staff are back, glad to be back in school. And I think we did it right in making sure we had the appropriate precautions and protocols to keep everybody safe. While we are not 100% protected because we are still in a pandemic crisis, right? But we are doing everything possible to keep everybody safe. And I think that's proven, actually. It's worth talking about that we have our first positive case in one of our schools. And as we have seen in the last 2 weeks, there have been positive cases in schools across the state of Connecticut. But through our contact tracing that was done by the Milford Health Department, we concluded that we had the right protocols in place, the right precautions in place to make sure that we limited exposure and risk. So we did not have to close law down. We were able to have the student quarantined and continue with classes today. So I think that's a big success for us, that we were able to contain exposure and limit risk. So of course, we want all staff and students to be well. So we hope that that individual gets well and can rejoin us quickly. We do have some people who are quarantining now that are not positive cases, but may have been exposed, but that's all part of the process.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have the right pieces in place to keep everybody as safe as possible during a pandemic and still continue teaching and learning.
Right, which is not easy to do. So with that being said, Jonathan Law is a perfect example there. What is that procedure as far as everyone else? That student was in a class with other people, with a teacher, had contacts with those people. What is the communication as far as who gets notified? What is the notification? What does that look like? So it's very clear, actually. And there was a letter sent out from my office to all of our school community. And if you don't have that letter, it's on our website. And actually, Mark, it lays out all the communication. So if there's a positive case in the school, if you are an individual that had possible close contact, and close contact is clearly defined through DPH in saying that it's more than 15 minutes, within 6 feet, and within 48 hours of symptoms being demonstrated or identification of a positive case. So if you are an individual that may have had close contact, the health department will be contacting you to notify you of your potential exposure. But because we are in our schools 6 feet apart, so you guys probably have seen the pictures, right? The desks are all 6 feet apart. Looks very like 2020 learning. Probably old school 1960s. Not that you guys will remember that, right? You're way too young for that. But you are talking about Blockbuster Video. I don't know if you remember that.
Right in between.
Teachers are not still smoking in the classroom? Is that not happening? Okay.
The good old days, Mark. Yes. Everyone's wearing a mask. If a teacher's behind, as protected by a plexi in the event that he is not wearing a mask, we have one-way and two-way hallways that are clearly delineated. We have signage reminding everyone to wash hands, sanitize. We have disinfecting occurring every night, all day Wednesday and on the weekends. So all of those mitigating factors. It's a suite of mitigating factors. It's not just one thing. So wearing masks alone is not going to keep us safe, but all the puzzle pieces together will keep us safer and diminishing risk. So notification would go out to those who would have close contact. And then we have situations on the chart. There's a person A, B, C, D. A person B is someone that may have a household member that is a positive case. In that event, person B needs to quarantine, but may not necessarily be announced because that person is asymptomatic and may not even have a positive case themselves. So there are different levels of notification depending on the level of COVID status and whether you've been a close contact. So to date, we've had one positive in our schools, and there have been a handful of persons B, C, and D in our schools.
Right.
Yeah.
So student gets sick, could be, I guess COVID symptoms are very wide, right? I couldn't even tell you exactly what they are, but it may feel like this student doesn't feel well while in school, goes to the nurse. Does that student has to go home, and is it mandated that they have to get a COVID test? Like, do they have to be cleared to come back? How does that work?
So actually, there are very strict guidelines on this, in that any student or staff demonstrating a handful of symptoms, fever, cough, congestion, sore throat, chills, a lack of smell, taste, there are a couple others. We're actually required, a new feature of schools is to have an isolation room with a designated staff member to man that isolation room, where any individual in the school building demonstrating one of those characteristics immediately becomes isolated. We put that person, remove them from the general population, and within 30 minutes, we ask parents to come pick up the child, or staff member removes themselves from the environment, and they go to the doctor. In most cases than not, we do need a cleared COVID test that proves that that person is negative. Each situation is handled case by case. So that is not a blanket, but in most cases, that's what we're looking for. And you can understand that we are trying to protect the entire general population. One of the stats I shared with you at the beginning of the interview is we have 5,400 kids and 1,100 staff members. So one person can easily infect many others, even though we may not be sure. We're going to err on the side of caution. Sure. So that, and it's kind of tricky right now because it's allergy season.
I know.
So there's this, is it just typical allergies, or is it maybe the onset of a typical cold, or is it COVID? No one wants to find out the hard way, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I know that has lots of implications on how we run our buildings, but unfortunately throughout the summer, we've been focusing on how school is going to be different, right? Kids are not going to be able to play the same. They're not going to be able to have lunch in the cafeteria. But I think some of you are talking about your first children. Kids are actually going home still excited. They're still going home and loving school. And while it is very different, I don't know, you guys have all been through Milford schools, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You guys know the feel of a Milford school. There's this community sense about it. And I shared this with reporters last week. If there's any way that Milford could be even more welcoming and inviting, it happened. You know how strange it is when, you go through hard times and you get closer together? I actually think that's happened in Milford Public Schools, that we were provided this challenge, an enormous challenge, and we rose to it and band together and became closer as a school community. So I think we should give credit to our staff and our families who have been incredibly patient, particularly through drop-off and pickup lines at school. I don't know if anyone
That was on our list of questions.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
bad.
Actually,
It's bad.
Dr.
It's
Cutaia.
gotten better. From what I hear, it's gotten better. At one particular school, it was about, I think, an hour and a half was the pickup line. And I think they got it down to like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what? Day one is always
For
longer,
sure.
right? You're waiting longer. But now we doubled the number of cars of parents dropping off and picking up. And you guys remember, like a lot of these schools were built in 1960. You know, people were mostly putting their kids on a bus and say, go to school, got to go to work, right? So now we have smaller campuses, smaller car loops, particularly elementary. So thanks for everyone's patience. It has gotten a lot better. Yes, thank you.
I agree. Isaac, you have
Dr. Cutaia. Yeah, first as a parent, and I just want to say thank you to you and to your team and to the faculty and staff, because to put this together in 8 weeks is, like you said, no small feat. I think what really stands out the most is the communication and being kept in the loop for the most part as a parent. That goes a long way, and we appreciate, even though the emails may seem a little tedious, or every other day there's something new that we have to adjust to. We definitely appreciate hearing and kind of giving us a heads up on what's coming down the pike. I know other districts definitely don't have it put together as well as we do right now, and we appreciate that. With that being said, and the pickups, obviously there's been some changes, and some things have been altered, and it will continue to get better. I know the bus routes will start to be picked up on time and everything else. It's a little bit of a learning curve. So we'll give you a pass at least the first 6 days of school for that. I mean, come on.
Thank you.
There's other things to worry about there, right? Yeah.
Isa approved.
Yeah.
Do I have grade 10 or what? I mean, is that when the grace period is over?
I don't know. It depends. My 3 kids, an extra 30 minutes at the bus stop, sometimes they get to be a little bit antsy, and I want to get them on that bus faster.
Call Durham.
I'll deal. That's small potatoes. I was wondering, as far as I know, there's been some, I guess, peaceful kind of protests with football and everything else. And I know it's kind of, what's coming up with being allowed for that. And is there any intel on winter sports for the high schools or anything, or this is a little bit too far ahead for you right now?
I suspected we'd be talking about sports tonight. So let's start with the positive, okay? Because I know we're all talking about what's not happening, but we have 5 fall sports. While 2 of them are getting a lot of attention, let's celebrate that we're going to move forward with cross country and swimming and soccer. Okay, so let's focus on the positive and say, wow, I'm glad we can run some organized sports at the high school level as guided by CIAC and DPH, right? So while I run around with the title of doctor, my doctorate is in education, and this is a public health issue. And I want to respect those individuals that are in the medical field that are weighing in on whether it's safe for us to gather young people together on a sports field. And listen, I know all the arguments. There's passionate opinions on both sides, right? So who am I, superintendent, to weigh in on one of the sides or two? What I will say is that we are going to, as much as possible, keep first and foremost everyone safe. That's our number one priority. We are going to look to the medical professionals and the organization like CIAC to guide us on football and volleyball. So football right now, it doesn't look good. I think that CIAC and DPH they themselves are playing a game of volleyball, right? If we're going to be honest. And whose court is the ball now? I think it's in CIAC, right? Based on some dialogue that occurred last week. So, there are rumors. The intel I have is that CIAC will still need to weigh in on how to move forward if they move forward. So I know that there's a lot of passion around the dialogue on football. I hope our young people will be able to engage in some format somewhere along this school year, right? So if not now, maybe later. Let's see if there's an opportunity. There's a lot that can happen. You see how fast things have been going, right, with this pandemic, and answers and changing information. So there's a possibility that we can have a solution to this virus, and that we can have an opportunity for young people to play in football. So I'm not losing hope in that, but I am waiting for public health guidance on that. And I respect and honor the opinion and passion on both sides of the fence here. And volleyball, I think, is a little still has some things to be determined whether we move forward or not. So we have a couple weeks before the season officially opens, and a lot can happen in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. As we've learned. One thing I will say on the sports side is, you know, my son is a freshman this year in foreign, and it's very cool. He's running cross country. He's never run, and now he went from 0 miles a day to 6 or 9 or 7 miles a day, which is insane. But the cool thing about it is, I was at foreign the other day, and I pulled down French Drive, going down towards the fields, and the boys cross country was going, girls cross country, the girls volleyball was on the baseball field, the soccer team was on the football field. I was like, it was so awesome to see so many kids outside all away from each other. It felt like a college campus. And I was like, this is great. During a pandemic, everyone's outside, they're exercising, they're getting their work in. It was very cool to see. And I was impressed and just happy to see kids being kids and yet being safe.
Yeah, and you know what?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No, it's another opportunity for kids to maybe try some different sports that they weren't going to anyway. You know, I did cross country, but it was probably because I wasn't big enough for football. So, you know, maybe this is an opportunity for some others to do some other sports that are actually available to them right now and have a new experience too.
Well, what people may not know is that football and volleyball are actually practicing right now. So what is allowed is 60 minutes of practice, 30-minute condition, 30-minute skill, non-contact, and that can go up to 90 minutes starting on Monday, and it goes from small cohorts to full team. So I am thankful that we haven't completely lost that sense of coming together as a group of students in athletics, because we still have an opportunity to practice. It is the competition part of the season that is up for grabs, right?
In that part, losing sports stinks, right? I really feel bad for, to your point, Dr. Cutaia, them getting together and practicing it's the social aspect. It's getting together with your buds and working out and getting stronger and better. The competition part of it, I really feel bad for, you know, the handful of seniors that potentially could be getting a scholarship for their athletic side. And does that change for them? I don't know. It's just, and again, this is happening nationwide. It's not a Milford, Connecticut thing. It's just, it's a tough situation for, some students.
It absolutely is. And nationwide, we're grappling with that, and universities as well. So it's definitely not the senior year athletically that many imagined all these years. So
right. Yeah. Zeke, you had something.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about teams and teamwork and everything, and obviously there's some openings in the Milford Public Schools for various positions. Is there any sort of a training period or anything that they will be trained on when new employees come in?
Sure, Zeke, you looking for a job?
So
how do you do with a broom and a mop, man?
I went to school for phys ed initially, and I did my first round of student teaching at Live Oaks, my alma mater, and I decided I did not want to be a teacher after I did that.
Wasn't cut out for it. Tough job.
Yeah, it's a special person, that's for sure.
Yes.
It's a hard job, Zeke.
I ended up coaching swimming for 20 years, so I had the next best thing.
So there is a different way to prepare to enter the classroom now. And that's why we're really looking for, let's just take the substitute position, for example. What we want to do is put a long-term building-based substitute, a handful of them actually in each building, so that we are not circulating people from building to building, right? That's one of those cohorting methods to diminish exposure. So certainly the training is on all of our protocols, which we provided our staff. And there's also a technology piece to the training, because so much of it is about 15%. So that number went from 18% to 15% of our students are learning from home. They have chosen to distance learn. So you remember that, if you think about a typical substitute, there would be paper lesson plan when you walk in. You had to know how to take lunch orders. what time to go down to the art room and what time to dismiss and what buses kids are getting on, right? So there's some basic routines in the old substitute world. Well, now there is cleaning protocol, sanitizing, bathroom, social distancing, cohorting, how to get on and off a bus is completely different. So there, mask break, how do you take a mask break, the do's and don'ts. How do you do lunch? Now they're in classrooms, not in the cafeteria. So there's a lot of training around just typical procedures in a classroom. And then you add, how do you live stream a kid in during math class, right? Now, listen, if there's ever a time to praise teachers, it is now.
Yeah.
All right, because they've got kids like this, like the four of us. And by the way, there are 12 more in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
So, new management style for teachers. They're learning their way through this as well. So you talk about training, Zeke. I mean, we are inducting our people in a much different way than ever before. And we have openings. That's the headline news in many newspapers in Connecticut. Lots of school districts have openings that they can't fill.
Yeah.
There's a level of reduced pool available because there's so many people at risk. Don't want to make themselves place themselves in a public setting like that. And then it's just hard to find people for some of these positions that we're looking for. Substitute custodian, we had some teaching positions we're looking for. We were for a long time looking for people to ride buses, to take attendance and make sure kids were wearing their masks. And that pool was pretty shallow.
I bet.
So, I'm thankful for the people who came on, though.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, to your point, Dr. Cutaia, right now is the time to praise every teacher, and not just teacher, like you said, custodians and anyone that is allowing our children to go back to school to have some sense of normalcy. And then you're right. I mean, the teachers right now are walking around with a headset on like Tony Little and, putting on this presentation for people for kids on a computer and kids in classroom and, behind a plexiglass thing. It's nuts. I mean, teaching's hard enough. And now you're doing it in this setting. Obviously I have my wife who is works there. So I get to hear what these teachers are doing, and it's mind blowing on how much they're doing and giving back for the kids and the kids too, and the parents. So with the parents side of things, how are you feeling there? And are there any? I mean, it's a struggle for a lot of parents. Some parents are just happy kids are back to school. I can get back to work. There are some parents that like you said, I think 15% are working from home. The children. Any feedback there, or maybe some support, something for those parents?
Well, it didn't help that Google Drive crashed at 10:30 on the first day of school. So and today Google Drive was, we received messages directly from Google, and when they're down, we're down. It's almost like a snow day. It's like the new version of a snow day. So when we have internet problems, kids can't live stream in, and we can't stream our lessons. So some of the feedback has been primarily around the inconsistency of internet or Wi-Fi access sometimes. So that is going to be an ongoing challenge. And you guys already touched upon the drop-off and pickup. And just some communication around schedules and what's the expectation of Wednesdays. So Wednesday's a special day in Milford because everybody does distance learning. So that gives us a deep clean day. It gives us an opportunity to really try on our new robust system of learning online for everybody. Even though we had practice in the spring, we were amateurs. Now we know better. We're much better at it. So Wednesday is a distance learning day for everybody. So we had some hiccups with that. When's my kid's supposed to be on? When are they off? Is my kid done by 9:30, or do they stay on till 1? So, and I'm so glad we're doing that now because, all right, let's just admit it. You never know.
Right.
Yeah.
If we go full-time distance learning, we'll have that all worked out. And if we have to flip the switch to 5 days distance learning, then we'll be better ready. Which is a message that I've been saying all summer, and I'll just continue to say it on this show. you never know when we'll have to go to tier 2 or tier 3 of our plan. Tier 2 is bringing 50% of our kids in 2 days a week, 3 days on distance learning, and the other 50% 2 days a week. And then tier 3 is full-time 5 days a week distance learning.
Right.
And it's just unless we get a vaccine immediately, it may be, I don't know, again, I don't have that crystal ball, nor am I a medical professional. There's potential that we will just very quickly have to move to a different tier because of the number of cases that have increased within our school or our community. So parents should be ready. That everyone should create their tier 2 plan for childcare and their tier 3 plan for childcare, because it can happen very quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're not going to keep you much longer. I just really just one question, and then if there's anything else you wanted to add or share with the community is, we're seeing Naugatuck close school for, I want to say, a couple days. And there's other communities or districts around that are doing that. Isn't the concept, and I don't know how Milford's going to handle this. I think I know. I mean, we have, and I think most of the districts are doing cohorting.
Yep.
So let's use that example that we talked about, that student. Let's say he was in school and he did, mingle with the kids while he had COVID. Wouldn't that cohort be sent home to quarantine and not close down the school? Why would are the other districts doing different things than we are as far as that goes?
I can't speak to why other districts may have closed schools and such not, but the concept around cohorting is so that you don't have to shut down a whole school or whole grade or whole wing. And that is much more easily accomplished at the elementary and middle because there's better cohorting in smaller groups. So at the elementary, your 5th grade cohort is your 5th grade cohort. You stick with the same 16, 18 kids, and you're not mingling with other kids. So if there's a case in there, that class goes home for 2 weeks or whatever time period is deemed. At the high school, it's a little bit different. So our student had like 6 or 7 classes, but the exposure was diminished because of our contact tracing. We were able to identify that close contact did not occur. Now, part of this was also, while we focus a lot on the kids, we also have to think about how many adults we have in a building to serve the kids. So let's say there's close contact with many adults and we have to send 10 adults home. I'm not sure we can get 10 substitutes, and maybe we can get those 10 adults teaching from home, but there's a potential that we may need to send home a whole grade level because not just of the number of students that are out, but maybe because of the number of adults that are available. So there are lots of factors to consider when you talk about, should we send home a cohort, a grade, a department, a class, like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or a whole school. And part of that also includes, can I send kids and adults home long enough to do a disinfecting so that those that did not have close contact, we feel safe bringing back? And so remember, we have a 5-hour day, and people didn't completely understand why we abbreviated the day, but that gives us more time to disinfect before the next day instead of waiting till Wednesday and the weekend. So when kids go home after their 5 days, our custodians are now immediately, after adults go home, of course, sanitizing, disinfecting. So we have a little bit longer in Milford, a little bit more time each day to do that deep level of cleaning because of the schedule we chose.
That's interesting. So we'll let you go. We've had you on long enough, but is there anything we missed or anything that you want to get out to the community that you feel is maybe not clear? And Heiza, I think, did you want to jump in real quick? Heiza, you awake?
Can't hear anything.
Oh,
can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, now we can.
Yeah.
No? All right. Dr. Cutaia, anything you wanted to share with everybody that we didn't talk about?
Of course, I want to extend words of thanks to our families and school community for the support that they've demonstrated and the incredible patience. We've recreated schools. I know we shout out, rightfully so, to so many of our groups, our staff members, and I have an incredible administrator team We have some administrators that have worked tirelessly. You said my job was 24/7. Well, I work on a team of many committed administrators who work 24/7. And what we've done is pretty much redefine school in so many ways. So I want to make sure we thank them for their incredible vision and work. But for parents, I think we've already touched upon this. We want to be responsive to everyday situation with COVID. And that, I think, Heiza, you were talking about the many emails. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Even though we're good communicators, yeah, it does come with lots of emails and letters, right? Yeah. But what we've allowed ourselves is permission to be flexible and responsive to the information we have at that time of that day. And I have found Milford to be exceptionally patient with that. So our plans may start to evolve. So let's say the numbers start to tick up, right? Remember that in the spring, guys, when the numbers are just increasing, and we hit kind of the tipping point. I don't know, maybe that's what I hear. That's going to start to happen again, that our numbers are going to start to rise and we're going to be faced with making some difficult decisions again. So, keep watching your email, sign up to get the app. We're going to do push notifications. Make sure your information is updated in School Messenger, and don't block my number because we'll be calling from School Messenger.
That's right. Communication is key.
To come.
That's good.
Sorry.
I just communication is key. You guys are doing a good job there, and it just keeps everyone on the same page. So, Dr. Cutaia, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it,
everybody.
And we would love to have you again. We'll wait for the next big story.
All right, maybe next month or two. Okay.
There you go.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dr. Cutaia, Dr. Anna Cutaia, superintendent, a lot of information. I mean, she is always our longest guest on with us because there's just so, and I'm getting text and comment and private messages of more questions. It could go on. And every parent and every teacher and every student has their own question, but it's always very specific to that individual where I think Dr. Cutaia, her team, teachers, they have to look at the big picture. It's not, I don't know if it's right to say, but it's not always about that one particular student, especially during a pandemic. I mean, we got to make sure that everyone is getting what they need all the time. And it's not easy,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously she definitely represents Milford education to the fullest, and they're definitely prepared for what's going to come next, maybe. And otherwise, I got to tell you, just like every other guest, and even from her previous guest appearances on the show, I mean, it just shows how much Milford is really on top of things. My little nephew, Eric, he's in kindergarten now. And the biggest concern for us was, is he going to get that kindergarten experience? And let me tell you something, he definitely has. I just stopped over there before and asked him, and he's super excited about school and meeting new people. And, just down to the details of making sure that kids that are starting school for the first time are taken care of. Nothing really seems to have been overlooked.
Yeah, I think it's also important as parents or uncles or aunts to not take our experiences, and just because they're different from what we experience doesn't mean that they're worse. For your nephew Eric, this is his first experience at the school. This is all he knows. He has nothing to compare it to. So I think it's good to be positive at home and to hear the positive things, because this is what they're going to remember, and this is how they're going to learn, and to know that this is their kindergarten. It may not be our normal, but it's their normal right now. Mm-hmm. And positivity in this aspect, in this environment, goes a long way.
You're right, especially at the kindergarten level. You're right. I mean, that is norm for them right now, right? The masks and all the, a person in a Ghostbuster uniform coming in to take out a sick kid. That's reality right now. But for the kids in high school and middle school that have been around the block, or you and I going into school and being like, what the heck is going on? It's a different environment. At the end of the day, the kids are getting education. The teachers are kicking ass. not every teacher is, most excited to be there. Some of them could be scared.
They definitely didn't sign up for this, but
right. But they're stepping up. And it's exciting to see, like Dr. Cutaia said, some of it, I don't want to say 9/11-ish, but we did mention 9/11 earlier. And that was the one time I remember in my life. I mean, Americans, especially Northeasterners, could be a big pain in the ass. Not the nicest humans up here. But when 9/11 happened, it was the biggest sense of community I've ever felt in my life. And I think we could be going through this again. And and it's bringing our kids into that mentality too, that, we got to get through this.
Learning experiences.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
I'm very white here, so I'm red here, and I'm white right
here. It's the light from your computer. You're getting a little sunburn.
I do have new lights, and I could also change the colors on them. Do I change?
Oh yeah, that's better.
That's better?
Not so much. No. Yeah. Right there. Right there.
That's the yellow. That's blind. That hurts. That's blinding. So just a few things. We're going to bounce. It's 8:52 right now, but we're going to get out here a minute or two early. Bridges, which is a great organization right here in Milford, has been awarded a grant for $300,000 per year for 5 years. The grant's going to serve Milford, West Haven, Bethany, Orange, and Woodbridge communities. The program's purpose is to target excessive use of alcohol, growing use of electronic cigarettes, and the high levels of depression and anxiety, which has been shown to have a multiplier effect on substance abuse. And it's going to target students in grades 7 through 12 in the region, which is a population of just over 8,000. So Bridges has been doing some great things here in Milford and the surrounding areas for some time. And it's good. I think it's state dollars. I'm not sure if it's federal or my assumption is state. I don't know the answer to that, but they do a great job. And now that they have more funds, they're going to do a great job. Maybe some of us should go to Bridges.
Oh man!
Final thing I want to mention, guys. What?
Nothing.
Nothing. What happened to your head? Did your headset die?
No, my AirPods went off, and then I couldn't hear anything, and then I had to disconnect them, and I even missed that last question until she said Heiza. And that's when I picked back up again. So I don't know if Mark asked my question or not, but my question was to her, what could parents do to help out, whether it's, time, financially, or supplies? But I don't know if she answered it that way or that's how it was asked, but it was time to let her go anyway.
Yeah. Well, you wrote, we have a little private chat thing that we have access to, and you wrote, I have a question. So then she finished up, and I'm like, all right, Heiza, and I'm talking.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you guys. I was trying to lip read, and I needed that sign language lady in the corner to be talking to me, but she wasn't there.
I could bring him over here so I could do it. Watch. Hold on.
A little technical difficulties there. But.
No, I could do it.
Yeah.
The last thing, the Smith Funeral Home. This is another thing that we talked about with Mayor Blake. Hot topic. It was approved. The plans were approved. The project is going to include 5 buildings and in total, and will maintain the existing funeral home building, which will be reconfigured. Once completed, the development will include 77 residential units, approximately 11,170 square feet of commercial space, and there's most likely going to be a restaurant involved in this. And the cost is approximately around $20 million for the renovations at Smith Funeral Home, right here on the green.
Wow.
Yeah, we're at an undisclosed studio here, but it's very close to where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of people opposed to any kind of development this close to downtown, and I understand that. I think a lot of what they're developing, though, is actually not even in eyesight of, what you consider the green.
Yeah, the train tracks, right?
It's in between the train tracks and the back of Smith Funeral Home.
Right.
So they knocked down a large number of those old warehouses that Simon Lake used to use for whatever,
Man, those buildings back there.
research and development.
Of submarines.
But yeah, no, I mean, hey, you're definitely going to feel it. You're going to feel traffic. That's 77 units at apartments.
Families.
So
Yeah.
that could be anywhere between
150 to
250 people.
Yep.
That are in the area, and a number of cars and everything else. So that part of the green is very congested, especially when there's stuff going on. There's summertime and everything else, and that's definitely going to add to it. As far
does
as
that access on the backside? Does that access to High Street?
I think it could if you go through that parking lot. If you go through that paid parking lot, it might cut behind.
Mm-hmm.
They might have to do that as a street or a cut through, right?
And then go over to High Street that way, but it's still it will be congested. I'm glad it's mostly commercial though, right? That lends itself to more opportunities.
There's an apartment building on the other side of the train tracks, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a big one.
It'll be interesting. I'm not looking forward to the congestion, but what are you going to do?
I just
approved, everyone approved it, right?
Fully approved.
Yeah.
Yep, fully approved. Looking up at my TV, we were watching earlier at the in the studio here. 16-3 Yankees.
Whoa!
Now we got to put on the Islanders game and see what they're doing because they got to win or they're out. They're going hopefully to the Stanley Cup. But anyway, boys, great show as always. Next week, if we have a show, if we don't know. But if we have a show, we're gonna have a great guest. You know what we should do? I just saw it was a national story about the best pizza in the country. Did you read the article? I did not agree with the
article. I think there were like 13 spots in the top 50, though, right?
In our little area here. And Pepe's was not number one. Colony beat out Zupardi's. Come on.
No way.
Come on. Like, who's writing this? Some Florida writer? They don't have pizza. I don't know.
It's good pizza for what it is, but it's not.
I was thinking maybe we have the Gavones on just to talk about that one article.
Yeah, we could. I just had I got Zupardi's yesterday, day before. It's so good.
Delicious. So good. So good. All right, guys, we're going to head out, and we will see you next time we're here. Thank you for watching Milford Radio. Thanks for being part of the show. And Zeke, Heiza, we'll see you soon, guys.
All right.
Peace out.